I'm JB. This is the Back It Up Binge podcast, and I'm talking with Tennis Hall of Famer Gigi Fernández. Gigi, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Delighted to be here.
Appreciate you joining. Normally, I dive right into my first question, but I think what I'm going to do first is read your bio because that sets up my first question. So this is going to take a little time. If you want to go grab a sandwich or something, by all means, go ahead. So here's your bio. International Tennis Hall of Fame inductee, class of 2010. 934 career wins, 270 in singles, 664 in doubles. Won just under 80% of your matches in doubles, 71 career titles, 2 in singles, 69 in doubles, 17 Grand Slam doubles titles. You have the second longest major doubles title streak in the Open era, winning 6 in a row from the French Open in 92 through Wimbledon in 93. Won a non-calendar year Grand Slam running from the 92 French Open to the 93 Australian Open. You teamed with Mary Jo Fernandez to win gold medals in doubles at the 92 Olympics in Barcelona, 96 Olympics in Atlanta. All-American in singles and doubles at Clemson. In October 2014, ESPNW voted you the 10th most influential Hispanic athlete in history. And last but not least, in 1999, you were named Puerto Rico's Female Athlete of the Century. Not player of the week, century. So,
that means you're old.
Fantastic. So my first question to you is, where do you keep all this hardware? How big is your trophy case?
Like there, you see it? There it is behind me. So I don't keep all of it out. I mean, I think I have one Grand Slam trophy out for each one, and then, the gold medals are hanging from the door, and that's some glassware there. But yeah, it's all kind of put away. And actually, some of it flooded in the
really
Florida floods. Yeah,
that's too bad.
Salvageable, but they got flooded.
Sorry to hear that. So you're born in Puerto Rico. You start playing tennis at around 7 years old. Talk about your journey from that 7-year-old to Clemson.
Yeah, so I was born with a God-given, natural ability to understand doubles, and also had really good hands, really good hand-eye coordination. So I was number one in Puerto Rico in my age group and 2 above growing up. So, I didn't really have to practice very much because I kind of won everything. So I was lucky that the Puerto Rico Tennis Association was part of the United States Tennis Association, so I could come to this play summer nationals here, and through that exposure, college coach found me and offered me a scholarship. So I played at Clemson University for 1 year, and I made the finals. So that was the first time in my life that I played tennis every day. It was when I went to Clemson, because I was on a scholarship and I had to. Like I was saying before, in Puerto Rico, I won everything without practicing. So I figured, what practice? So then when I started practicing every day, then my game really improved. And I ended up making the finals of the NCAAs as a freshman, had a match point. And the girl that I was playing was ranked number 23 in the world, because back then college players had pro rankings. So I still didn't think anything. I still didn't think I was going to be a professional tennis player. But then, like 6 weeks later, I was flipping through the channels and I saw her. She was playing at Wimbledon against Billie Jean King on center court on round of 16, and she was beating her. And I was like, oh my God, that's that girl that I almost beat. So that was like the first clue that I had that maybe someday I could potentially be a pro. So yeah, it was slow, late start.
You just answered part of my next question. At Clemson, All-American singles and doubles was, I guess it never thought, you never had the thought to say, my goal is to be professional. But
no,
did you need that 1 year to really develop it?
Yeah, so there was not really, Puerto Rico's an island, 100 by 35, very isolated. I had no role models. There was no other Puerto Rican. I was the first female athlete in Puerto Rico in the history on any sport. So they didn't really have somebody to look up to and say, I want to be like her. There's very few Hispanics at the time. The only one was Maria Bueno from Brazil, was the only female, but she had already retired. So I didn't really have role models. I didn't really think that this was a path of being a professional athlete. This is tennis in the 70s, right? It was like just kind of getting started. I was born in 64. So it was never really a consideration or a path that I dreamed of having. I just knew that I was good at tennis, and I was going to give me a college scholarship, and and I was kind of happy with that. But then when I went and got my, when I went and actually devoted to tennis and started playing every day, the improvement was just meteoric. I mean, I was obviously good enough to almost be the number 23 ranked player in the world, not just in the United States or in college. She was the number one collegiate athlete, but she was 23 in the WTA Tour rankings. So yeah, that was and then I got by on just good hands and good instincts on the doubles court. But what I didn't have was that base from the baseline. I didn't have that. I didn't have hours of grinding ground strokes from the baseline that were automatic. In fact, when I turned pro, I had a slice forehand and a slice backhand. Like I hadn't learned how to hit topspin, because in Puerto Rico, the coaches wouldn't teach girls how to hit topspin because we weren't strong enough. So I started to learn to hit topspin in college, and I continued to develop my game in the pros, which you can't do that now. I mean, now when you go on tour, you have to be fully developed, otherwise it's not going to work. So.
Do you remember your first, and what is your memory from it, if you do, your first professional match?
Well, my first professional match was probably when there used to be a traveling challenger circuit that played in Puerto Rico, probably when I was 15 or 16. And I think I probably lost 6-0, 6-0 to some pro. But I really don't have a recollection of my actual first professional match. I don't remember, because you play challengers, so after after I made the finals in Volley that summer, I played challengers, so like the feet up events. So I mean, you could count that as my first, but really your first Grand Slam. I remember my first memorable moment at a Grand Slam was I was playing at Wimbledon the following year, the year after I made the finals in Volley. So not that summer, but the following summer, and I was playing Pam Shriver. She was seeded 3, and I just gotten in. I don't think I had to qualify. I got in in the main draw, but I was playing her in the first or second round, I forget. And it was a long match. We were playing on the third show court, so it was on TV, and ended up losing 9-7 in the third. And then when I got back to the locker room, I had a note from Martina Navratilova, who at the time was God. She was like number one in everything, and she had put a note in my locker room, and it said, "Work hard. Women's tennis needs more players like you." And I was like, wow. I mean, Martina noticed, and she said something, and I was ranked 100 at the time. And so that was very inspirational and very motivating, because
I bet. But you're known as one of the greatest doubles player of all time. But when you look at your career and look at tennis, did you prefer singles or did you prefer doubles?
So I always trained for singles. I never gave up on singles, or never continued to try to improve my singles game. But I was saying, earlier, because I didn't have that baseline game that I couldn't hang from the baseline with the top players, my game was coming to the net. And I sometimes, when I started playing, the players like, Monica Seles, who stood 3 feet inside the service line to return, inside the baseline rather, to return your serve, it was really difficult to serve and volley, because by the time I'd finished hitting my serve, the ball was already coming back, So, and I couldn't stand on the baseline and hang with these top players on the baseline, because I didn't have those ground strokes. I didn't have that, I was still working on them while being a tour. So that's, I think that sort of self-fulfilling prophecy of why I continue to play doubles, because not only that happened, but also I'm making the quarter, semis, and finals of the doubles. So I'm playing, doubles Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then I'm getting on a plane on Monday, and then I'm playing singles on Tuesday. Now, how ready am I for that singles match? Not very ready, right? I just spent 4 days doing only doubles.
Right.
So that was challenging. And then, but I played singles till my last year on tour. And in fact, I had my best result in 94 when I was already 30. I made the singles semifinals at Wimbledon. Lost to Martina Navratilova in 3 sets. And then, so 95, I still had a good year. And then 96 was the last year that I played singles. And 97 was my last year I only played doubles.
I watched a match online between you and Monica Seles, and I didn't notice her inside the baseline. I got to go back and notice that, but I would think that you counteract that. You had a good serve.
Well, right? So she was the first player to ever, you'll see it, take the ball super early. she hit it hard from both sides. And, you know,
Okay.
when a serve and volley has a cadence, you know, so you like serve, step, 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 split, go to the ball, right? So when you're doing that, you're assuming the player is going to hit the ball around the baseline or behind, right? But with her, it was like my cadence was thrown off because I would like serve, step, step, and she's already hitting the ball, and I'm still only 3 feet in. I'm still haven't gotten to the service line. Like you want to get to the service line when you're serving and volleying for your first volley. So I had no solution for her. You know, when I played Steffi, I could serve to her backhand, and she would just slice it, right? So I had a little more time to get in position. In fact, I have a winning percentage over Steffi. I beat her twice and lost her once. But with Monica, I was like, no solution. She just destroyed me every time I played her.
You know, you talk serve and volley, and we'll play word association at the end of this with some players. But I think of Edberg and I think of McEnroe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Edberg was
absolutely.
just constant serve and volley, serve and volley. It was interesting to watch him do that. But you had a successful singles career, 270 wins. You ranked as high as 17 in 91. You made it. You had 2 titles, 86 in Singapore, 91 in Albuquerque. You made it to the semis in Wimbledon, couple of quarters in the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
Was there one match in your head that you say, you know what, when you look back at your career, that's the one I should have did this, or I could have had that?
Yes, I do. I was playing in the semifinals of the singles against Martina that I just referenced, and I was very intimidated the first set. I was down 4-love right away, and sort of started coming back, and ended up, I think I lost that set 5-3 maybe, or 5-4, and then started the second set. I get up, I'm 5-3. I get up, serving for the set, and she was old. She was 37 at the time, which is really old for tennis back then. So she was starting to get tired. Well, I mean, no, but it was a time where you could tell she was starting to get tired. You know, it's been a long. She was probably playing singles, doubles, and mixed at this time, so she had a lot of tennis under her. And I had a set point to win the second set, 5-3. I hit my serve wide, get my first serve in, and I come in to hit my volley, and I'm going to hit across court to the open court, and I see her take off, start running, and I decide to hit it behind her, back down the line. So I hit the ball, it hits the tape, goes up, hits the tape again, and falls back at my side. Oh. And I lost the point. Ended up, you know, now I kicked myself because if I just hit across court where I was going to hit it the first place, even if she got there, she would have been like running up to her backhand, and what's she going to do? We're running backhand, right? So that was my chance at getting to the finals of Wimbledon, because I think if I had the total momentum. If I won that set, I probably would have won that next set, and it was to play Conchita Martinez in the finals. So
it's amazing.
I wish I had that volley bag.
Yeah, it's amazing to have that vivid in the memory. I bet you just see it in your head right now happening.
Well, there's footage of it too, so I've seen it on TV a couple times.
So let's move to doubles. Mentioned 664 wins, multiple number 1 rankings, 69 titles, but 17 Grand Slam titles, and you won those with 4 different partners: Robin White, Martina, Yana Novotná, and I hope I say this right, Natasha Zvereva.
Yeah, you got it right.
Okay, good. That was a tough one for me to practice on. How did you decide on a partner?
So early on, Robbie and I came through the challenger circuit at the same time. We were both collegiate players, and we just started playing and had a pretty good partnership. What totally unexpected, that win. We were definitely not had any ideas that we were going to win that match or had any goals of winning that U.S. Open, but it happened. And then, you know, partnerships on the tennis tour work kind of, there's a bit of a pecking order. Like usually, you know, the better you get, the better you want your partner to be. And usually the higher ranked player is going to ask the lower ranked player to play with them. So with Martina, she asked me to play with her when Pam Shriver was hurt. So that's how that happened. And then Natasha and I were both, actually that's a funny story. Like we were playing in the 91 Wimbledon final against each other. And I was playing with Yana Novotná and she was playing with Larissa Nealand. And Yana and I lost that match 6-4 in the third. And after the match ended, Yana told me she didn't want to play with me anymore. And I was like, wait a second, she double faulted a match point. I'm like, you double faulted a match point, I should be dumping you. And we had just won the French. Well, unbeknownst to Natasha and I, Larissa and Yana had already agreed to play the rest of the year together and told us right after the final. So then they went and got together. Natasha and I were both the dumpees, right? We were the two that got dumped, and that's how we got together. We're like, the next year we started playing together in April, and of course we had to play them in that final the following year in '92, and we beat them. We played them in five or six Grand Slam finals, and we never lost to them.
Oh, nice.
So the dumpees got their revenge.
You won 14 with her, so I mean, destiny, right? So that's great. So let me read something from your bio in the Hall of Fame bio. It reads.
Well, let me just say real quick, something about that, because it's very interesting that people don't realize is that the partnership between Natasha and I, it was kind of historical, because if you think back to before the wall came down in '89, right? Before the wall came down, Russian players were not allowed to play with anybody else. In fact, the KGB used to follow them around, and they traveled in a pod with the KGB. And then 1991 things started to open up, and then I was the first non-Russian that she would ever play with, and she was allowed to play. So an American and a Russian playing together in '92, a couple of years after Perestroika and the wall coming down, and created this partnership that could not have happened 5 years before.
Wow, I didn't know. Wow, that is a great point there. So be curious on something here from your partner's side. In your Hall of Fame bio, it reads, Fernández was fiery, tenacious, exuberant, and displayed her emotions on the court freely, both a blessing and a curse at times. Won 17 major doubles titles. 14 of those were shared with Natasha, who complemented her spirited partner perfectly. While the duo weren't complete opposites, Zvereva's all-court game balanced her partner's aggressive mantra, while Fernández was fire, Natasha was ice. Did she ever have to reel you in during the matches? And you did show a lot of emotions out there.
Yeah, not really. I think it's, once you get to that level, like, it's your job to, like, control yourself. And, that's one, I think, mistake partnerships sometimes make, is trying to control the emotions of the other player. In fact, that's why I not only did well with Natasha, but I did well with Mary Jo Fernández, because she was pretty stable, but she also let me have my emotion. Like, you can't talk an emotional player out of being emotional. Like, you just kind of have to let them have their space, and you have to be okay with them having that emotion, which is hard for a lot of people. In fact, I have a couple of partnerships that didn't work out because of that. They just couldn't handle my ups and downs and my emotional outbursts.
You had somebody to check you on doubles. What about when you were in singles? Did that fiery, aggressive style ever work against you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and probably part of the reason that I was better at doubles too is because I had that sounding board. You have somebody I could talk to on the changeovers and kind of calm me down a little bit. And in singles, yes, it definitely cost me a lot of matches early on until I learned how to control myself. I did a lot of sports psychology and sort of meditating and trying to learn how to control my emotions so I could perform, at a high level under pressure. So there's definitely a lot of work went into that part of the game.
That's interesting. Fast forward 92, 96, you team with Mary Jo Fernández. You won gold in 92 and 96. Can you talk a little bit about your Olympic experience? You go in the first time, you win the gold. Now you got to defend it the next time. What was it like going to the Olympics and winning the gold?
Yeah. So that was kind of stressful. The first time you do something, you kind of don't know what you're doing. And when you're trying to defend anything, there's definitely more pressure.
Right.
I also, it was a tough Olympic, that one. The bomb went off that year, and we weren't staying in the village. We were kind of all dispersed. The tennis site was kind of far away from the village, and we all were staying in houses. And it was not I don't have a good experience at the Atlanta Games. Also, when we played in Barcelona, we played it against the Spaniards, and the stadium was packed for the finals. When we played in the U.S., we followed Andre Agassi's gold medal match, and the stadium was empty. So that was kind of disappointing. I don't have very many fun. I have way fonder memories of the Barcelona gold than I do of the Atlanta.
That's interesting. So you retired in 97. Talk about a little bit about what you've done post-tennis career, I should say. Yeah.
So, well, first of all, I'm a mom. I have 16-year-old twins, and they congrats. Are both athletes. So I spend a lot of time traveling around with them doing that. My daughter's a soccer player. My son plays golf. So keeps me busy. I also started a tennis company.
No tennis?
Huh?
No tennis?
No tennis. No, I couldn't.
Oh,
I couldn't convince them.
Was that on purpose?
No, when my son was 7, he came up to me. He said, "Mom, I don't want to play tennis. It's too much pressure being your son." I'm like, "Oh, okay, I get it." So he didn't want that kind of pressure. And he was very young to be aware of something like that. And my daughter thinks it's just a dumb sport. You just follow the ball around. Whatever.
Really?
Yeah. Because don't think it's a great sport.
I got to tell you something that you say that. I debate people all the time on the major sports, and no one puts tennis in the top 3 except for me. It's baseball, football, and tennis. And it's interesting she said that, but I don't know why people don't give it
follow
more.
This ball around. I know. I mean, but if you think about it, every sport is dumb when you think about it. Like, you're trying to hit a ball in a goal, you're trying to hit the ball in the basket, you're trying to hit the ball out of the stadium. It's just a sport, it's not. Don't take it so seriously. But so the other thing I do now. So I started I have an experiential travel company, Gigi Fernández Tennis. So I bring people to Grand Slams, Wimbledon, French Open, Labor Cup. I do doubles camps for adults, mostly at Indian Wells now. I was doing a lot more when I was younger, but I'm getting to the point where I'm approaching retirement. So I do them at Indian Wells.
There you go.
And then I also just started a foundation called Tennis for Hope after my house flooded in the Florida hurricanes. And our foundation helps people in the tennis community affected by natural disasters. We've raised almost over $250,000 in the last 6 months and have helped LA victims. And we're in the process of evaluating Texas flood and trying to figure out who we're going to help there. And so that keeps me really busy now. It's a labor of love. Obviously, we got our 501c3 status in record time, and within 6 months of the hurricanes hitting, we had. So I try to turn, the worst moment of my life, which was my house flooding. This house where I'm standing had 2 feet of water everywhere. Wow. So it's a 1-story house, so we lost everything, and try to turn that into a positive. And and the reason that I started the foundation is because I realized really through this tragedy how lucky I was that I could start rebuilding our house right away, and we didn't have to wait for insurance checks to arrive. We had, we're friends with a builder who could make a house, put it in start right away, because the 22,000 homes flooded in Tampa, St. Pete, and there's not 22,000 builders out here. So there's definitely more work than people to go around. So that's why I started it, and it's been very rewarding, and it's going really well.
Do you have a website for that people can go to?
Yeah. Yes, tennisforhope.org. We're raising money right now for the Texas victims of the floods. So yeah, tennisforhope.org, and any bit helps.
Absolutely.
Especially for tennis fans, any tennis fans out there. We have it's a membership model. So if you want to become a member of the organization, you commit to a 3-year plan. And then we do these fun events at Indian Wells. We're having our first member event. The Bryan Brothers Band's going to play. We're going to have a big kind of member engagement event out there.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'll drop that link in the description of this episode. I'm glad you brought it up. That's great.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
You started out young, 7-year-old, around there picking up a racket. If a parent came to you with a 7-year-old, I wish I had known you back when my daughter picked up her racket at 10 and said, give me a couple piece of advice. What would you say to them? 2 to 3 pieces of advice?
Well, first of all, 7's really young. It's okay to start at 7, but you can't get serious at 7 because you're going to be burned out by 12, right? So play other sports is my best advice. Like, don't think you only have to play tennis at this age. And then my other advice is find a friend that likes to do this with you. What happened with my kids when they started too young, started at 3. Not my choice, but they were they were in a school program that where I was the director of tennis. There was a earlier learning center there, and then in the recess periods, instead of going out to the playground, they would come into the facility. There was 19 sports there, so one of the sports that was in the rotation was tennis. So they started playing tennis when they were 3, and they played at 3, 4, 5. But then there were 6. They were had to go to the bigger court and play with the older players. So they kind of lost their friends that didn't come, didn't move up with them. And then when we moved to Florida when they were 7 and they didn't have friends to play with here, so then they stopped playing entirely because they had nobody to play with. So I think if they'd had a friend, and that's what, the team sports have. They all wanted to play team sports because they want to hang out with their friends, right? So that's one kind of thing tennis misses a little bit, is that social aspect.
That's a good point. Good point. I may have missed this, but you see it happen a lot, and I would have thought you would have been in the discussion over the years. Has any player asked you to be their coach?
I coached when I first retired. I coached Lisa Raymond, Sam Stosur, and Renee Stobbs were the 3 players that I coached. Lisa and Sam won the 2005 US Open when I was coaching them. And actually Lisa and Renee won a bunch of tournaments too when I was coaching them. But then what I realized, when I quit tennis because I didn't want to travel. I was kind of burnt out with travel and burnt out of the scene. I call it the traveling bubble. It's like this kind of group of people moving from one place to the other, and it's not real life. The life of a professional athlete's not real. Like, it's not normal, right? So when I found myself coaching, getting back into that environment, I didn't really like the person that I was when I was in the environment. I was trying to sort of transcend being the professional. I wanted to be something else other than Gigi Fernández, a tennis player, when I retired. And being a coach just kept me in that space. So I wanted to move on for some reason.
So any current player you follow that you always look to see their results on the tour now?
I like Taylor Fritz. He looks like my nephew. He's like the carbon copy of my nephew. So I always think that I'm watching my nephew play. And I also knew his mom when he was a little baby. We both lived in San Diego at the time, and he used to bring him to the courts in the little bassinet. So I've known him since he was a little baby. So that's kind of fun to watch. And I like the Americans. I like to watch Coco. I hope she can fix her forehand. I mean, she has major technical flaws with that stroke, but I mean, she's obviously good enough to win 2 Grand Slams, but seems to be kind of spotty, right? So hopefully she can kind of level out a little bit and keep being great.
So you triggered a question with that comment on Coco. I was watching her the other day on YouTube, Steffi Graf. Did she have a good technical sound forehand? Because she always seems she crunched up all the time.
It was good. Yeah, it was amazing. It never broke down, right? It was, for her, it was perfect. It was the best forehand at the time. Never broke down. I mean, it was her biggest weapon. Like, Coco's forehand breaks down. She does it. Okay. You can just play her forehand and it breaks down, right? So, I mean, that's a sign of a great stroke, whether it breaks down under pressure or not.
That's interesting. So, I love Coco. I love Sinner, and I love Alcaraz. I mean, it's all the top people, but those are the ones I always follow. I love Sinner.
Yeah.
So this has been fantastic, Gigi. Last round, I call it the Binge Burner. I'm going to give you 4 or 5 names, okay?
Okay.
And if we play word association with them, I'll let you choose. Give me a number 1 to 10.
Number 1 to 10? Oh, give you a number? 8.
Yeah.
Got it.
Number 8. Oh, well, we just talked about her, Steffi Graf, so let's not count her.
Okay.
Give me another number.
4.
Monica Seles. We talked about her as well.
We talked about her too. 7.
Number 7 was Roger Federer, my all-time favorite player. Next to Gigi,
I love
of course.
Roger. Oh, he's just a gentleman. He's nicest guy you'll ever meet. Just such a gentle soul and such a great ambassador for our sport.
Chrissy,
she's witty. Like, most people don't know this about her, but she's really, really funny. I love Chrissy. She's, struggled a lot lately with cancer and she's beat it twice, and great commentator. Just nothing but respect for her.
All right, we'll end it on this one, Martina.
Martina changed my life, really, when she picked me to play doubles with her and she sent me that note. To know that the best player in the world believes in you and thinks you're, worthy to play doubles, to be in the same court with her, was kind of life-changing. She took me under her wing when I was younger and taught me about, training hard and being disciplined and nutrition and, like, I was kind of under her mentorship for a little while there when I was coming up. So yeah, we're still friends to this day, and just nothing but respect for her.
That's great. Gigi, I enjoyed talking to you. Just talking tennis in general is just great
Thank
for me
you.
because no one tends to talk it with me. So appreciate you joining the binge. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.